Hey, it's Alan here.
And Bree. And we are the hunter and the hippie.
Connected through yoga and bonded by our love of the wild places and the love for outdoors, we've come together to share our conversations about life.
Well, maybe more so what we've learned or are continuing to learn about life.
And there's no one way to do it. Life, that is.
And hopefully provide you with some teeny tiny bits of inspiration to connect deeper with yourself, others, and our great Mother Earth.
All right. Enough already about the podcast. Let's just get to the podcast.
We're here.
We're here.
Live.
Welcome to Colorado, Bree.
Oh boy. Here we are.
How long has it been since you've been back in Colorado?
I don't think I've been in Colorado since last September. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, last September. So, what is that?
So you were here in 2020?
2020.
What were you doing here in 2020?
Oh,
We're
Memorial.
not allowed out of your house
I know.
in 2020. How did you come to Colorado?
I came for a friend's. My friend died in a climbing accident, and then another one.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So.
That's a very valid excuse to leave
But
the house
that's
during a pandemic.
You know, I think that's that was what the pandemic taught us, is how important it is to cherish the people around us and to spend time with them, and to whatever capacity you're comfortable with during that time, whether that was via Zoom or phone calls or in person. So,
yes.
If anything, I'm hoping the collective learned was like gratitude for the everyday and hold your loved ones close.
Connection. For me, it's like all about connection, right? Like, yeah. We are so connected in more ways than one, and like especially like I taught a yoga class in person for the first time. Not for the first time teaching a yoga class in person since the pandemic, but with like no restrictions, no masks, and it was a big group of people, and just seeing like people's smiling faces, and like seeing some old people that I used to teach, and like being able to give them a hug, and yeah, that was like that was the shit.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, like we are connected. We are humans, and we need each other.
Yeah, we're pack animals, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that was the big struggle for a lot of people who didn't have that during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad. I knew a lot of people who were, essentially stuck in their homes, not living near family, not being able to see their families, not having any loved ones in their homes with them. I actually just recently watched a comedy series.
Yeah.
And like I think they use the term comedy on this one really lightly, but it was by Bo Burnham. Okay. You don't watch a lot of TV, but you should watch it.
Okay.
You should really watch it.
What is it on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's by the comedian's Bo Burnham.
Okay.
And the name of the special is Inside. And if you can't gather, right, what it's about,
yeah,
and the dichotomy of where we're at right now. So for those that we're not videoing right now,
yeah,
but we are outside in nature. There's a babbling brook. We are enjoying some fresh air. We are outside, the opposite of the special Inside.
Yeah,
and so he did a phenomenal job. He recorded, produced, directed, did the music, did everything, did the audio of this entire special. It's an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And he recorded it over, I think it just recently came out. I'm not sure when the release date was, but I'm pretty sure he recorded it over a year plus time frame.
It was all inside?
All inside.
Whoa.
And all in one room.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was during the pandemic, and he sings a lot of songs. There's a lot of inappropriate songs that are fucking hilarious. But there's a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
That's why I like say it's like questionable if it's a comedy.
Ah.
Because there's definitely, it's like a dramedy, but
Yeah.
it's like a special. And yeah, seeing him melt down was like so powerful. It took me back to like some of like those dark spaces last year.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, wow, yeah, 2020 fucking had moments of shittiness and like darkness, and I believe that's because of lack of connection.
Yeah. It's fascinating though, because I feel that it's not the lack of connection, but I feel like it's really what we needed in terms of we are so massively externally like intake stimulated. We tend to, I mean, we talked about this last episode actually, is like we tend to have more distractions and more going on than more of the stillness. And like I think about when I hiked the John Muir Trail, I was out in the wilderness for 2 weeks and I didn't hike it with anyone, and I linked up like half a day. I hiked with someone. One of my camps I was with a group, and you would talk to random people on the trail, but I spent a lot, like 2 weeks essentially by myself, no technology. And
but
yeah,
outside.
I mean like you still, you're by yourself, like you still get a little loopy. Like my go-to was I would talk to myself out loud with an Australian accent.
We got to hear that.
But
let's hear it.
Oh gosh, I can't do it on the spot.
We got
Maybe I'll do a guest. No, because there's some Aussies are gonna just think like, that's not Aussie.
We got to hear it.
I'll sneak it in later when you least expect it, mate.
All right. All of our guests want to hear this Australian accent.
Yeah. But there is you circulate through a lot of thoughts. You have dark, even out there where I'm somewhere beautiful, there's dark moments.
Yeah.
And there's genius that comes out of it, right? That's I mean, like, actually, I remember one day I had hiked, I was just beat up. Like, day 1 and 2 were pretty rough because I climbed out of Yosemite Valley and got a permit for Half Dome. So I can't remember how many thousands of feet I gained. And I did like 20 something miles, and it was day 1 of the whole thing. So I think at that point I should have had 6 days worth of food, but I probably had about 10 days worth of food because I didn't pack. Yeah. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so I have the most amount of weight, like hiking out, I'm kind of just totally rocked by the end. But I think it might have been day 2, which was also a tough day because I was still getting my trail legs. Like by day 3, you're just like, I could hike 30 miles, like no problem.
I could walk forever at this point.
But day 2, there was the never-ending switchbacks. I remember people kind of telling me about it, and it's just like it felt like 100 switchbacks.
Switchbacks are annoying.
Better than going straight up, though, probably.
True.
But
true.
I was at the bottom, and before I got there, I was like at the lake, and I thought, I'm like, should I do this today? Because it's gonna camp just on the other side of that hill. Yep. And at the bottom, I said, it's either today or tomorrow, so why not today? And that was like my mantra for like part of it. I had quite a few, but for the trail. And then I was like, this is like a representation of life. Like at some point, you're gonna have to do it. Right. So it's like, it's either today or tomorrow, so like, why not today? And it like just kind of drove me to be like, should I do this? Yeah, just do it today, whatever, you know, and
you have to do it.
Yeah, you're gonna do it.
Why keep putting it off?
And like, that's the crazy thing. The stress of putting it off is takes more of a toll than just like going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you keep thinking like, oh, I got to do this, and you just get in your own head and you start making up stories. Putting it off, and we all do it. Yeah. But putting it off is just awful. And how productive would we be if we had that mantra?
Yeah. And it's kind of like you said, like the stories, what our brain does is lives those stories. So now all of a sudden you're living these hypothetical situations before you even do do it. So then you actually do it, and it's probably not any of the stories that you had like created before that you already lived out physiologically.
And the reason that is you're making up the worst story possible.
Yeah.
Like whatever the worst outcome is, whatever like the worst possible scenario of whatever it is that you want to do, that's what the story is. And really, it's likely an easier story, right? It might not be the easiest, but it's likely, you're not going to get attacked by a bear. You're not going to, right? Like,
yeah, easy there.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Where?
In Wyoming, you might.
Oh, I know. Stay out of Northwest Wyoming, huh?
But yeah, I agree. I think that we make up all these lame stories, and it stops us from living our lives and doing the things that we say we're going to do when we're motivated. And then when it comes time to actually do them and we have no motivation, right? That's where we need discipline. And then we don't have discipline either.
Yeah.
And we just don't do it. That's a great mantra to have on the trail.
Like, I love that you said that about discipline, because I do think it's underrated. I think people always think they're going to be inspired or motivated.
Right.
And, like, there are so many times where you're not going to be. And that's
Often.
where, that's
Often.
where, like, that discipline is what keeps you moving, keeps you going.
Right. I was working out the other day, and it was a squat day, and I did not want to do squats. I was like adamant against squats. Like I was like, no, I'm not doing these squats. As I'm loading the bar with weights to do my squats, right? Like it was like, I'm going to do these. I'm going to fucking bitch and complain the entire time, but I'm going to do these.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm going to put the weight on. I'm going to make this happen. And I did my squats. And at the end, I was like, you know what? That wasn't so bad. That wasn't not nearly as terrible
as the
story that I made up. Like, all right. And that ended pretty quick, and it was a temporary moment in my life, and then I got to go on about my day.
Yeah. It's cliche, but it is like, it's so true. Like the first step is like that, like initiation of whatever you're doing is like the hardest. But it's nice to like I have a run crew that I run with in Cote on Thursday evenings. Run Cote, Wyoming. Check out their races. They're awesome. Little plug. But that's like this winter we had the negative 13 degree day. A high of negative 13.
That's crazy.
And it was Thursday. And we ran.
I think I remember you posting pictures of that.
And it's like that is a perfect example of if it wasn't for those people, the accountability and like other people showing up, like it would have been really easy to not run that day.
Yeah.
And then once we got out, we're like, we'll just do a mile. But once you got out running, it was like we ended up doing probably 3 miles, and like we had like frozen faces, but
a few things to that. So one, it was just as easy for the whole group to cancel. It would have been just as easy for one person to cause a domino effect, to be like, guys, it's negative 13.
Yeah.
Really? Like, and then, oh yeah, you're right. Like it's just that easy, and it causes that domino effect to be like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna take it chill today. Right? We're not gonna go out.
Yeah. And
then two is, I appreciate that you had other people to hold you accountable, and we need that in our lives, right? Like I truly believe, right? Like it takes a village, and like we have to have those good people in our lives. However, there's definitely a side of no one's gonna do the fucking work for you, and when the group bows out, when someone in that group is like, hey, it's negative 13, guys, I think we shouldn't do this. Right? Like, it's your time to step up to be like, well, I'm going.
Yeah.
Right? Or even if you don't even have that group, it's important to be like, yeah, it's negative 13 degrees out. I don't have anyone else to rely on, but I don't want to do this, but I'm still going to.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where the discipline comes in is I've said I am something.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time for me to prove that I am that thing that I said I am. Right? Because you could say what you are all your life, but if you never actually show what you are, right, like that, there's a contradiction. And now what is that? Just delirium, right? Like I'm this, and you don't do that. Like, well, then you're not that.
Yeah.
Right? So you're either lying to yourself or you're completely delirious. But I also think, so we're talking about mantras, I think that, right, like that's where, so like work for what you want is like my main life mantra. If you haven't figured this out already. And like that's where like, there's so many, right, like I preach this work for what you want, I have it everywhere, I have it tattooed on me, I have it on my walls, I have it on my phone, like I have it on my motorcycle, I have a sticker on my hunting rifle, like anywhere I look, I have t-shirts. Anywhere I look, I can find this mantra, and there's a reason behind it, and one of the main reasons is because I love it. But yeah, I'm distracted by cotton.
I know. The cottonwoods are out of control right now.
We're sitting here outside recording, and there's cotton flying all over the place. I'm literally distracted.
It's raining cotton.
It is raining cotton balls. But yeah, like so the importance of my mantra, right? Work for what you want. So there's two reasons I developed this mantra. I don't think I've shared this on this podcast, have I? Like,
I know that, I don't know. I mean, you've talked to me about the mantra, but not anything about it, I think.
So first off, right, like it's everywhere because you need to put your precepts everywhere. Like the things that you believe and like the things that you believe you are and that you believe you need to have, they should be everywhere you look because there's going to be those times where you lack motivation, you lack inspiration. And when you look up, you need to be like, fuck, there it is, right? Like there's my reminder. I need to do whatever it is I said I was going to do. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the squats, but work for what you want. Said I want nice quads. I guess I got to do the squats, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then there's the second aspect and the actual reason I started the work for what you want mantra. I was in Thailand with my wife Jessica, and we were riding one of the elephants, and I was just thinking, it was like halfway through our Thailand trip, and I was just thinking about like, how did I get here? Not like physically, like I got here on a plane. I got here by an elephant, but how did I get here? And the thing that my wife's really good at reminding me and motivating me of things like that, and she was like, you worked your ass off, right? Like you've worked very hard. Now it's distracting me because you have cotton in your hair. Sorry, I'm like a fucking squirrel with this cotton. So she's like, yeah, you worked really hard to create this life. And I was like, yeah, I did. And I wanted something that I could share with everyone. Right? And it wasn't about me. Like I knew like I'm going to work hard. Yeah. And like, yeah, it's developed into, right, again, like having it everywhere and making sure like I know and like constantly drilling it in my head, but it was something for everyone else too. It was something to be like, hey, you could have this too if you're willing. Like you can have anything in the world that you want if you're willing to work for it.
Yeah. And
I often hear like no, you can't. Oh, well, no, you're just not working hard enough. Like, and it's not necessarily like hard work, right? But it's we've talked about this in prior episodes. It is hard work that is pointed in a direction.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could just work hard, not have a direction, and you have no clue where you're going or where you're going to end up. But if you're pointed in a direction and you work hard towards that thing, yeah, like there's going to be, again, we've talked about this, right? We've talked about like there's forks, right? You're going to split off, or maybe you realize, oh, I don't want that. Like, and that there's definitely been many of those realizations over the years for me. But you absolutely, like, people say, oh, we have to work smart. Yeah. But you have to work. You have to do the work.
Yeah, I think two things like came to mind is just like, even when you think about mantra and meditation, well, what does it serve, right? It's it's redirecting of attention, right?
Yep.
And so if you think about that in life, your mantra, work for what you want, it redirects you when you start to go astray, right? Like having it present everywhere is the same as sitting and meditating with a mantra.
Yeah.
Things start to go off your mind goes off this way, you come back to the mantra.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing in your life is gosh, we start to maybe like the road curves going astray in a way, or you're not motivated or whatever it might be.
Right.
And that mantra brings you back to direction.
Yep. It's guardrails, right? Because like it allows you to operate. It's not this like stern, strict thing that says you only have to do this, but it's absolutely these guardrails. It's absolutely like these guardrails when you start to stray too far.
Yeah.
Right? Like instead of going completely off the edge, it's like, hey, all right, adjust your course, right? Like get back on path. You know where you're supposed to be.
It's funny, I talked about in one of my classes recently, talked about it as a river. And so your intention are the riverbanks, right? And so it's guiding you in this direction, but within the river, the water flows in all these different ways.
Right.
And so it's this like allowing of it to not be a straight line, because it isn't. And that's where we get into trouble, is when we try to make it a straight line. When we say this is the way that it has to happen, and we're so rigid and we force it. And that brings me like the other actually thing I talked this last week, and it's from my training with like the Amrit Institute, is the idea of willful action, right? And so it's that same, we don't want it to be a straight line. We don't want it to be forceful action or controlling per se, like try to control everything, but we want to be like intentionally acting, willful action, like skillful action, so that we are moving ourselves in a direction. Yeah. And that's where, again, like that mantra is like something you get to like cross-reference with. You come back to like, is this where am I? Yeah. Am I on the river? Like, am I up on the shore, or like maybe I'm taking a nap under the trees or something. Cottonwoods, especially, probably, but
And I think that point, right, it goes right back to what you were saying about your mantra, right? Like it's how you operate, right? It's your modus operandi, right? Like I could do it today or tomorrow. What was the mantra exactly?
It was it's either today or tomorrow, so why not today?
It's either, right? Like, and why not today? Right? Like, why not? What is going on today that you can't do it? And again, it's those stories, it's that thing, and it's just, right, it's bringing you right back to your, okay, yes, I have to do it today. But then it becomes, right, like a muscle, right? Because there's muscle memory, and it becomes so much easier to call yourself out of your bullshit, like to call yourself out like of your whatever, your story, your excuses, and make the decision quicker, easier. And we were out hunting, me and my two buddies were out bow hunting, and I remember this specifically because it was like my mantra like immediately kicked in. My buddy was having some boot issues. His toe was blistering, and we had been hiking all day, like 10 miles, and it was like getting ready for last light, and we're in this area, and he was just like, you know what, let's just go back to camp. And I looked at him, I was like, would you say that if your toe wasn't hurting?
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me, and he knew exactly what I was asking.
Yeah.
And he was like, I hate you. And we stayed out and hunted.
Yeah.
Right? And okay, well, I mean, like, you didn't even answer me, and you had to, like, you knew the answer to your question, and you knew, like,
Yeah.
if we have to show up as who we say we are, and yeah.
Yeah. All right, breathe.
Breathe. Let's do it.
All right, so find a comfortable seat. You can lie down if you're tired. If you're walking or running, just do what you're doing. And close your eyes or find a soft gaze. And if you are inside, and you can take an opportunity to go outside. Sorry, I told you to close your eyes, so don't walk with your eyes closed. Or maybe that's a skill you can practice now. But take a moment to just find a way to access the outside world. So whether that's opening a window in your car, window in your house, or actually going outside, and then find a comfortable seat and close your eyes, soft gaze. You can pause this while you do all this and then come back. But all right, we'll meet you there. And then after you close your eyes, just take a deep inhale, filling up from the belly, feeling the air travel through the lungs, throat, nostrils. And then as you exhale, feel it releasing out completely. And then return to your natural breathing. And just start by observing the air around you. Just noticing how it feels on the skin. If the air feels stagnant or if there's a light breeze, the temperature of the air. Maybe noticing how it changes while you sit in stillness. And then bring your attention acutely to how that air travels into your body. And notice how it changes along the way. Just feeling the sensation without trying to change it or define it or label it or have a story. Just feeling how the air travels in and travels out. Notice that exact point where the outside world transitions to your inside world. So where the air enters your body. And bring awareness to just the air inside of your body. And then the areas of your body that receive your breath and don't receive your breath. And then imagine a blurring of edges of the world around you and the world inside of you. And then think of a mantra, just a short, simple phrase, and it could just be what comes to mind first. And just hear the words or see the words. Maybe you see them floating around you. And bring awareness into the body and feel these words inside of you, in every cell of your body. Notice how your body responds to this mantra. Notice how you physiologically react to this mantra. And just feel it. And then slowly feel this mantra beginning to blur the edges of your physical body with the world around you. Allowing it to shine out from your heart center until there's no longer an edge of you, the mantra, and the world around you. And then take this feeling with you. When you're ready, you can slowly flutter your eyes open.
So, Bree,
Yes.
we're outside. We came here to do a thing. We're going to go mountain biking. Shall we do some mountain biking?
Yeah, we need
Catch
some.
back up with
We
everyone
need
in a
some
bit?
movement. We've been working hard today.
We have been.
So
Let's
we'll
go.
meet back in a little bit.
Sounds good.
And we're back.
We made it. We've survived
We
so far.
survived. We went mountain biking and
Went to a cryotherapy place, which we'll talk about.
yeah.
And then we met some friends for dinner,
Oh yeah.
finished our photo shoot, and yeah, now it's what? Almost 10 o'clock at night?
Shh, don't tell them.
Yeah.
I'm a good sleeper, remember? I get all that sleep. This is going against.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. Do what you gotta do.
We, what time did we start? So let's just give a perspective. So you're here, right? We mentioned that you're here. The idea was you to come down, you're doing some work, you have a retreat you're doing,
Yeah.
and we're like, all right, let's make the most of it. We'll do like a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
We'll, of course, get some activity in because, right, that's,
Yeah.
like, we preach activity, right? We preach, like, getting out, moving your body. So we had to do something.
Yeah.
So we started our day at, my alarm went off at 4:01 a.m.
Mine went off at, I think I set it for 4:20, but I woke up to the birds. Which is great.
Chirping.
Love this time of year.
Yep. And fun little quick story right before, but I already shared with you. Right, knowing that we had a photo shoot, I had like all these clothes that I was going to bring and right whatever we were changing into, and I put everything in the washing machine before we went to bed, and then at 2 a.m, right? So I go to bed and I had to shave and like shower, and I didn't get to bed until midnight. And then at 2 a.m, I woke up. I had a thought of, oh shit, I didn't put the clothes in the dryer. So I got up at 2 a.m, put the clothes in the dryer, and then went back to bed for a 4 a.m. wake up call
Oh yeah.
to then do the day that we did.
Yeah, and I just kept telling him today, I've never woken up in the middle of the night to a thought. A thought has a thought has never pulled me out of my sleep. I've woken up in the morning and been like, oh crap, or like maybe had an anxious moment of something I forgot or didn't do, or maybe slept through my alarm or whatever. But I've never been pulled from sleeping to waking about my laundry. Just gonna say that real quick.
I had the thought of like, oh fuck it, just go back to sleep. But I realized that like I put everything that I would want to wear
Yeah.
was in there, and it was soaking wet. I was like, I had to get out of bed. I didn't have an option. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I'm glad, because then, you You had something to bike in.
And we had some great photos.
Yeah,
we had some really great photos.
Yeah, Brianna did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Brianna.
Oh yeah.
We had this conversation.
I know. I'm a Brianna. She's a Brianna. Okay.
Yeah, if anyone knows why there's Briannas or Briannas outside of like parent choice,
yeah, let us know.
Let us know. Reach out to us.
Anywho, so on this ride, first of all, how long have you been mountain biking?
This is my second ride.
This is his second ride ever. Yes. And crushed it.
Thanks.
How did it feel?
It felt good. It felt really good. It was, we did the same route the last time. Mm-hmm. Dowdy Draw and Springbrook, whatever. Mm-hmm. Dowdy Draw Springbrook. And it was a really fun ride. Not really technical, but getting my feet wet. I definitely felt way more confident than the first time. Mm-hmm. And it was so much better.
Yeah. Less
stopping, definitely like more speed on the downhill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was good to see you crush it. Like you got out there and you put those legs to work.
Well, I kind of tapered because I was supposed to run a lot of miles this weekend and it didn't happen. And so last week I only ran like 4 miles because I was pacing my friend for the Bighorn 100 race and was supposed to run 34 miles on technically, I guess, Saturday morning. So starting in the middle of the night. And I didn't. And then it's just been kind of go since then. So I haven't ran at all. So that's why I was like, yeah, I'm feeling good because I feel like I'm on a taper. Right. But it was nice because I haven't mountain biked in like 2 summers and just to get back out. And I was thinking a lot about our like mantra talk before and how we were talking about like redirecting, like right, staying in a direction, and when you stray, like coming back to that direction, and the mantra like gives you that. And the one thing I focused on this ride was looking where I wanted to go, because I always remembered that anytime I looked at the rock that I didn't want to hit, I was going to hit it. Or you're also like trying to like control and go around it, but then you're not like loose and agile, and you're also looking at it. So that's where your wheel's going to go. And it just made me think a lot about a mantra. It's like the mantra is telling you like, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
Right? It's like looking ahead with intent.
Yep.
And like I think that's what helped me feel really good on this ride today, was just I kept coming back to like, look where I want to go, and like don't get stressed about all the rocks that you're going to be passing through or either around or going over, and just like keep looking in the direction.
Yeah. There's something to having like the confidence in your equipment and like having the confidence in this case in your mountain bike, because that's the one thing I noticed. I was so hesitant to go over some big rocks the first time, whereas this time I'm like, isn't this what the bike's for? Right? Like the bike's supposed to go over those big rocks. Right? Those big rocks are there, the bike goes over it, and you let the bike do the work. And it was really good to like, have confidence. Like, okay, yeah, this machine is going to handle the majority of the stuff, and as long as I don't tense up, like you mentioned, right, like stay loose, let the bike do the work, and I feel like I got into like a really good state of flow.
Yeah.
And it was just I've ridden motorcycles for a really long portion of my life, and that's the number one rule is look where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same in mountain biking. It's the same in jiu-jitsu, actually. Right. So like when you're trying to sweep, when you're trying to, take people down, when you're trying to get a submission, right? It's look where you want to go. And it's it's really a great mantra in life when you really like apply it. Like, quit looking where you don't want to go. Right. And how many of us do that?
We look at what we think about what we don't want.
Right. And there's that saying, right, like cliche, but where your focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same concept, right? We're focused on, oh my God, I don't want to hit this rock. You're hitting the rock. Right.
Because you're giving it energy, right? It's like you're giving, I mean, that's a lot of, just with clients, right? Like, even when we are in those situations where you're like trying to figure something out, right? You're still giving energy to this like problem, or versus just like kind of, or landmark here, like standing in nothing, right? And giving energy or giving your attention to what you do want. And actually, like, this is like years ago, like back when I lived in LA, I dated this guy once, and he asked,
back to Bree's dating life.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I wasn't allowed to talk. Oh, you're allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, you can't ask me
I can't ask about it.
No, this is old. We can talk about old stuff.
Okay. Is there like a rule? Is there like a timeline? Like,
yeah.
Like minus like 2 years?
I'm a very private person.
The male callers want to know.
Well, I haven't had any calls since our dating service has launched, but
I've been filtering.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes. Swiping what way?
I have no clue.
Left. Thank you, Alan, for swiping. We didn't
have apps when I was dating.
Yeah.
You actually had to talk to women to date when I was doing the thing.
Oh, that thing. Talking? Yes. Who does that anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, sorry.
So this actually like really stuck with me because he was like, "What do you want?" I don't know if it was like, "What do you want in a partner?" You know, and I said, "Well, I know I don't want," and I said these things. He's like, "No, I didn't ask you what you don't want. I said, what do you want?"
Yeah.
And I've taken that just in general because so often we talk about what we don't want. And it's super simple to think about, like, switch that to what you do want, right?
Yeah.
So you can learn, I think that's, like, part of life, right, is learning what you don't want. But instead of focusing on what you don't want, just think of what the opposite is that, or what is it that you want, and then put your energy there. Because that's just, so long as you're thinking about what you don't want, you are going to get that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, so I have two thoughts. One, I hope I can link this to what we're talking about. I'll address that second, but this thought of the opposites, right? Like that ties so much into jiu-jitsu and like how I've looked at jiu-jitsu. Right, I talk a lot about jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu is a big part of my life, but it applies to so much in life, and in this case, if you're, I don't want to say if you're smart, but like if you understand what's going on, and you understand the opposite of what's going on, you get double the learning lessons. Right? So if you understand that in order for a person to put you into an arm bar, right? You understand that, okay, the person needs to control the head. They need to have their hips below your elbow, close to your shoulders, right? They need to have control of the arm at the wrist. Well, right, like you can take that and be like, okay, yeah, I learned how to do the arm bar. But you can also learn how to defend the arm bar in that, right? Well, the person needs to control my head. So if I don't let them control my head, okay, then that's one piece of the puzzle. Hey, their hips need to be above my elbow, below, right by the shoulder. Okay, don't let them have that. And it's easier said than done, but right, I get 2 lessons for the price of 1. So it's the same thing with. I think it's the same thing with what you're saying, and right, like you're. What were you saying? Exactly. I'm fucking exhausted.
Well, instead of putting energy on what you don't want,
we put energy into
what you want. Right. So, like, if you don't know what you want, think about what you don't want and what would be the opposite of that.
Right. So, like, there's this opportunity to learn from the opposites. Okay, fine. Like, you don't know what you want, like you just said. What don't you want? Now, what's the opposite of that? And the idea, though, is like, we have to truly understand what the opposite is of that. And then the second thought, so I'm going to try to relate this. I don't know if I'm going to, but this last weekend at a really amazing day. Right, and it was filled with tons of jiu-jitsu. I had a jiu-jitsu seminar with one of the world's best people in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like, that's one of the things I love about this sport is, like, imagine having the opportunity to learn basketball from Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then get to play Michael Jordan in a game.
Yeah.
And, like, that is essentially what I had. Right, or close to that, right? Like, just some of the best, maybe not right the Michael Jordan, right, but some of the best in the world. And so I had that opportunity. It was such a great day. But throughout the day, I had someone make a comment to me, and the comment wasn't good or bad. I just, for some reason, I didn't like the comment, and I focused on that comment. This one thing that was over in 10 seconds. And I just focused on that one thing, and I was driving home, and I was irritated, and I caught myself, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you just had an amazing day, and you're letting 30 seconds spoil it? And, like, I just sabotaged my amazing day.
Yeah.
Like, no one else. Right? The comment that was made, like, it's totally irrelevant, and the person that said it probably doesn't even know, right, what they said or how they said, right? Like, and I just totally fucking sabotaged my day. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so what I did, I'm driving home, I had like an hour drive home, and I went through my day. And I went through all of the amazing things that happened. And I left that part out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, let's start from the beginning. Woke up and had my coffee. I woke up. Like, every day I wake up, I'm fucking blessed.
Yeah.
Like, I get the opportunity to live another day, to try this shit again, and, right, fail probably, and then I get to hopefully do it the next morning. So, like, I was like, yes, all right, beautiful. Awesome day so far. Got to do jiu-jitsu. Got to hang out with some people I love, right? Got to then go to the seminar, see this, learn jiu-jitsu from this person. And then this person was like, oh yeah, let's get some rounds in. And I got to, like, play basketball with Michael Jordan. And for those of you that are listening, like, it's exactly what you pictured, right? Like, whatever you're picturing, like the layman playing basketball with Michael Jordan, right? That's exactly what this looked like, right? It was, I felt like I didn't know an ounce of jiu-jitsu. I've been doing this for 2 years, which isn't long at all. And yeah, this guy knew what I was thinking before I knew what I was thinking. Not even before I was moving. Like, I went to make a move and I couldn't do, like, I was like, oh, he already stopped that. And I'd go to think to do something else and, oh, that stopped too. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting choked. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, in a 3-minute round, I think he submitted me of some form at least 10 times, which is just crazy. And it was just like, again, it's exactly what you would picture, like you're playing basketball with Michael Jordan and you're just getting stuffed and, right, like he's just sinking buckets and you're like, what is going on? He's just like dancing around you. So anyway, I tell you all that because it's like, yeah, and then I went through my day and I'm like, fuck, I had an amazing day. This is awesome.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I think it's training, all of that is training what you look for, you know, and, or what you put your energy into ultimately. And so again, when you continue to say like what you don't want, then you're going to look for the things you don't want. So then you're even like exponentially putting your energy to the things you don't want. Like, how crazy is that? Yeah. What if we just thought about what we wanted and always looked for what we wanted, whether that's in people, in ourselves, or the world around us? Like, that is a beautiful place to be. Because what happened how did you feel after you went back through your day and like looked at all the things that went right?
Oh, amazing. And I came home and my day wasn't over. Like, I had already, like, my day started, not nearly a day like this, but way more physical exertion for sure. Yeah. My day started, I think, at like 7 I woke up, had my coffee, and then went to my open mat, then went to the seminar. I was home by, I think, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Got home to my wife, and then life goes on, right? Like, David Goggins writes this in his book, Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
And it's this little thing that I caught from the book, and I don't think you've read it yet, but... And
I
think,
did.
Oh, did you read it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But like, I've talked to some people about it, and I don't think people caught this one part.
Yeah.
But I love it. And it's just do the fucking dishes.
Mm.
And in his book, he talks about, right, like, you're this guy that comes home from work, you worked all day, you're tired, and you live with like roommates or a significant other or your wife or your kids, whatever. And you're right, like, you worked hard, you get home, and like the last thing you want to do is the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
But you get home and there's a sink full of dishes, and then you're like, and you have a fit, right? Like you now you're mad at your wife, you're mad at your kids, you're mad at your roommate, right? Like, oh, there's a bunch of fucking dirty dishes in the dishwasher or in the sink, and oh, I work all day and now I got to come home and now I don't even have a clean sink, and you get all butthurt for what? And the thought is, just do the fucking dishes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could right? Like, the dishes need to be done, and you could just lose the attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could skip the whole process of getting mad at everyone, and just do the fucking dishes, and then you get to go on with your life.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, like, for me, that's like one of the biggest parts that like impacted me in that book, was because how many times do you work hard and you come home and the dishes are dirty? And that's just an analogy, right? Like, how many times do you come home and, like, I don't have kids, but like your kids' toys are on the floor, or whatever, right? Like, like, you come home, you're exhausted, you don't want to make dinner, or right, like, whatever that is. And you just don't do the thing that you don't do the dishes, and you get butthurt about it. And so now I'm just rambling.
Well, I think one thing that stands out is it comes back to that, like, yeah, you get home, the dishes aren't done, and that sucks. But how much more of an impact is it having on you when you let it then create anger at your loved one or your roommates, your friends, not only on yourself physiologically, because now you're just like creating this stress within yourself versus like, oh, this sucks, the dishes aren't done, and doing them, versus creating this whole drama around it, which is going to like impact you physically and over time, like health-wise, but also,
and your relationships.
Now you're that's what I was gonna say, is like, not only is it just your problem, now it's everyone else's problem, because
you don't know the day they had.
And
it's not a comparison, right? It's not my day was worse than your day. You just don't know the day that they had.
And it's like, what do you get out of making that person wrong and you right?
That's a landmark thing.
I know.
It's a total landmark thing. But yeah, and so I by going through my day before I got home, I didn't come home and verbal diarrhea all over my wife, right? Like, I came home and I was like, I had an amazing day. What's next? Right? Like, no, there weren't dishes in the sink, thankfully. Right? Actually, I love doing dishes. I find doing dishes so meditative. I go to my friend's house and they're like, don't do the dishes. I do the dishes anyway. For me, it's just total like meditation, total like monotask, like just scrub, right?
It's nice.
But yeah, like, I came home. I forget what we did. I think we went out, and like, I'm exhausted. Like, I just did, right? Like, it was 2 hours of like full rolling jiu-jitsu. I'm getting ready for a competition in July, so
nice.
So like, I'm like putting in like effort. Then, it was a 3-hour seminar. So it was like a lot of physical exertion, and I came home and I could have been like, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna just lay on the couch, take a nap, or I can take time and effort into my relationship with my wife and be like, oh no, like, am I tired? Sure.
Yeah.
Do I want to take a nap? Sure. But I will get more, right, benefits by hanging out with my wife for an hour or two, right, and being able to, say, hey, yeah, I'm able to do things that I love to do as well as still as nurture my relationships and do the fucking dishes. Right? So, so changing like my perspective was really good because it just changed. Because I know how the day would have went.
Yeah.
Right? I would have came home. I would have been pissed off. I wouldn't have even told my wife why I'm pissed off, right? Because, like, stupid and I'm just tired and I'm just going to take a nap and I'm gonna lay down on the couch and don't talk to me. Right? And then she's feeling that, like, oh, Alan's grumpy. So she's gonna, respond to that. However, she's gonna respond to that.
Or she might even be like, "What did I do?" Like, right? The same thing that everyone does. Like that's what we all do as humans. And then it's like, all of a sudden you created a whole another story that, for this other person that isn't even relevant.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so you got what? Choked out. Wait, choked 10 times in 3 minutes, which we did cryotherapy for. We didn't do it for 3 minutes, but
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes.
All right, so shout out to Restore Hyper Wellness and Cryotherapy in Boulder, Colorado. One of the managers there, Sean, I talked to him yesterday. Let him know you were coming into town, and let him know we're recording our podcast. We're all about doing our crazy shit. And I was like, let's get some cryotherapy in.
Yeah.
They have these awesome cryotherapy. So if you've never done cryotherapy, it is there's different options, but it's a room, a cylinder of some sort that is fed by, I believe, liquid nitrogen, and it creates a extremely cold environment for the body. And there's these like cylinders that you can do this cryotherapy in, where it's the cylinder and the gas escapes out the top, and it gets cold. Don't get me wrong, it's not cold. It's not cold, but they're just not. I didn't enjoy it as much when I tried those, and I tried this one in Arizona where it was like a meat locker. You walk in and the room, I forget what it was at this place in Arizona, but I want to say it was like negative 200, and coldest I've ever been. And since then I've been trying to find a place like that in Colorado, or like when I travel to other cities, I look for places like that, not the cylinder one. So I don't know what made me look yesterday, but I looked, and this new place, Restore Hyper Wellness and Cryotherapy, opened up like 3 weeks ago. And they have they have this room where a door shuts, locks you in to like this room where the gas doesn't escape. And what was the temperature that we did?
Negative 166.
Negative 166 degrees for 2.5 minutes. And then it goes, there's different levels, right? So like if you show that your body can handle it, I believe they go to like 210 degrees, negative 210 degrees. And you can go for up to 3 minutes at a time. So I'm really looking forward to getting to that.
Yeah, and they're super informative, which was really cool. Just kind of walked us through a lot of there are different offerings that they have aside from cryotherapy, and like they know a lot about the benefits of it and just physiologically in your body how it works. And there's always a nurse on site too, because obviously you're doing some pretty intense stuff. So there's none of these kinds of things in Cote, so it was really cool to check it out. And I went with no music option, and Alan went with Metallica. So you can play music while you're in there.
Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
I was rocking out.
I decided to use the opportunity to meditate. I was like, I'm going to get in the zone. I'm going to keep my heart rate down. And yeah, I'd never done it. And it was cool. And Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things too, like going regularly, I'm sure you see a lot of the benefits.
Yeah. So some of the like key benefits to it is inflammation, anti-inflammation, right? So cold is an anti-inflammatory. So if you have an acute injury, doctor will tell you to put ice on it, right, and help make it better. So it just helps. And it was funny after we did it. I think both of us had like some like soreness in areas that we probably need work on, or right, or probably not healthy or as healthy as they could or should be. So I think there's something to it.
I actually think so it's funny because, like the new thing is that the whole idea of icing is not necessarily, have you heard that?
Not necessarily good. Yeah.
Well, it's not like the go-to thing.
Yeah.
And like right after an injury or something like that, it's good to put ice on it because it helps with that immediate swelling. But I will say the benefit, I think, say of like cryo or like cold plunges or anything like that, is that your blood vessels constrict in the cold. And so then it's, when you release yourself from the cold, the blood vessels expand and then the blood flows in. But that's also, we were going to actually sauna today, but it was pretty hot. And so that's like, I want to give a shout out to the saunas because I think there's a lot of health benefits from heat, and that's mainly because you are getting more blood to an area to heal it.
Yes.
And so it's almost like, talking about like the opposites, actually, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But like cold type of stuff will like constrict in that area, but then you have that blood rushing in once you get out of it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of science and a lot of studies that are being done on both ends, right? I think you're going to find studies that tell you both. One of the things that I'm going through right now, so I have lower back and like hip issues, and cold. If you notice when I said like ice is good for acute injuries, right? So that means like when the injury happens, like right, like for that immediacy. But then ultimately it comes down to heat and movement, right? Heat and movement is what's healing, right? Not ice and stiffness. And that's what you get from ice is right, frozen, right?
Yeah.
It's stiff. It stops moving.
Yeah.
Right. But with ice, it actually is an anti-inflammatory. And the inflammatory response in the body is important, right? And we don't want to hurt, but it's you hurting to a degree, right? Again, non-acute injuries, you hurting, you having inflammation is actually your body responding to something's not right. Unless, right, there's the caveat of autoimmune disease where your body's responding to something that doesn't exist. Right? That's essentially what an autoimmune issue is your body saying, there's a problem, go attack it, fix it, but there's no problem, and it just starts attacking itself. So back to the inflammatory response is like you go out, you lift weights, you ride a bike, you do anything, right? You're sore the next day. Well, you're sore, you hurt. You've created inflammation.
Yeah.
And your body, your blood, right? The heat, right? Your blood is made up. Right? When we think of blood, we're totally getting all sciencey and dorky here, but I love this. You're right. We cut ourselves, we bleed blood, and right, we don't realize that.
We bleed blood.
We do.
Way. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I think I bleed.
Motor oil?
Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese. We're cutting your arm off tonight.
Oh my God. Get some chips.
So, but really, red blood cells is what carries oxygen. Right? And hence your breath. Guess how important your breath is. Right? Those damn yogis, right? But red blood cells is exactly that. It's the vehicle for oxygen to be delivered to your body. So when you have great blood flow, right, it's delivering oxygen to the body, delivering oxygen to that point.
Yeah.
And it's causing that's the inflammatory response, to send blood to that body part to help heal it. And so with my hip issues, I'm actually starting to do a prolotherapy treatment. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
So prolotherapy is, right, we live in a society where my hip hurts, my back hurts, and you go to a doctor and they're like, here, take this anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because you stop hurting, but it doesn't fix the problem. It's like that Band-Aid. So prolotherapy, it's been going on now, I think, since like the 70s. And what they do is they take the most inflammatory thing that they could find that no one's allergic to, that's already in your body, and that's sugar. Right? So, or glucose, right? Glucose is in your body makes it, right? So it is inflammatory. That's why they say don't drink your liters of cola at 4 a.m. I don't know who does that.
Oh gosh, how many liters of cola did you drink today? And gummy bears.
I only had a few gummy bears.
Uh-huh.
A handful of few gummy bears. But anyway, so they take sugar water and they inject it into an area that needs to be healed. And so in my case, I'm going to have this prolotherapy done. It's sugar water injected into my SI joint, my hip. And what it does is it creates an inflammatory response. And it attracts red blood cells, it attracts blood flow, and then it attracts collagen. And which is what your ligaments and tendons are made of. And we've had this conversation of the importance of ligaments and tendons. And ligaments and tendons, that's what they're made of, is collagen. So this prolotherapy, it creates inflammation, red blood cells come, collagen gets rebuilt, and it fixes the problem. So I'm really excited for this prolotherapy treatment.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me how it goes.
But yeah, so I digressed way too far down the rabbit hole about the cryotherapy. I love the cryotherapy. I love being in the cold, and I am so excited that this is in our backyard now. It's literally 20 minutes from my house. And if you are a listener and you're in Colorado and you want to go to Restore Hyper Wellness and Cryotherapy, go there. Tell them either the Hunter and the Hippie sent you, or Alan Titone, or Brie Allison, and yeah, they'll get you taken care of, I believe, for the next week or so. Cryotherapy treatments are only $10, which is phenomenal. They have membership packages. They have all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah. I won't be going because I don't live here, but you should.
So with that said, yeah, it was a phenomenal day.
Yeah.
And now we're here wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Journal prompt. Grab your journals. Go outside.
Yeah.
Right, even if it's late, even if it's 10:30 at night, and you've had a long day, and someone didn't do the fucking dishes. Go outside, grab your journal, right? Go get some fresh air, right? I think Bree said this earlier. If you can't go outside, you better have a good fucking reason why you can't walk outside your front door right now. Like, there needs to be like a comet coming out of the sky. Like, there needs to be like a drive-by shooting for you not to be able to walk out your front door.
Oh,
like
gosh.
right now. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe you're in the bathtub, right? But like, step outside for 5 minutes. Grab your journal, step outside, take a few breaths of fresh air. Real quick, we talk about going outside and taking breaths of fresh air. We talked about this today because my wife just recently got air purifiers in our house, and Bree made a joke about, oh yeah, can't wait to get back inside for that good clean air.
Well, there's fires going on, so I guess, maybe if there's fires going inside, you go inside and you just breathe deeply into that purified indoor air. Nothing like it. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't wait to be inside all day.
Right. So, anyway, if you have fires, don't go outside, right? Like if the air pollution is terrible, if you live in LA, leave. But yeah, get outside, breathe some fresh air, and write in your journal. Just write about what you've listened to today. What is your life mantra? Do you have one? Are you embarrassed to have one? Can you not think of one? Can you not think of like what your life mantra should be? If you can't, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We'll help you.
And know that like your life mantra that you write down right now isn't forever. And so like we even just us talking, like I shared just a mantra that came up for the John Muir Trail that happened to be like very related to life, but it's just something that you can use to redirect your energy, right? Put yourself back in the direction that you want to head versus where you don't want to go.
Yep.
And it's not like you have to chant it or anything like that. If you want to, great. If you want to sing it, scream it, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But just use it as a phrase that like puts you back in the direction of what you want.
Yeah. And keep looking forward. Keep looking where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Right? Keep your eyes on the prize. Yeah.
That was so cliche.
That is so corny.
We're ending on that. Oh gosh. Okay. Eyes on the prize.
Bree,
Okay.
it was so incredible having you here.
Yeah. Such an adventurous day. And thanks for hosting me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next up, Cote.
Yes, please.
Hunter and the Hippie and Cote.
In Cote.
Maybe hunting.
Ooh.
Well, that's an idea.
Oh, that'd be good.
Awesome.
October. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
If you want to follow us and our adventures, you can find both of us on Instagram. I'm at Bree Allison. That's BreAllison.
And I am at The Life of Alan Titone, underscores between each word. To check out our offerings, yoga, one-on-one trainings, workshops, retreats, and a recorded library, you can find the info on our website, thehunterandthehippie.com.
If you have questions for the podcast, about the podcast, feedback, suggestions, or just want to say hi, or find ways to work with us, our email is thehunterandthehippie@gmail.com. And don't worry, all of this will be in our show notes.
Thanks for tuning in
Hopefully you weren't tuned out.
to the Hunter and the Hippie podcast.